Say hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Alongside me, as he is every Tuesday, is my guy Ian Cameron, Bobano. NHL playoffs in full swing. You got the NBA going, of course, but damn it, baseball still takes up the majority of the betting cards on everyone's day. So it's nice talking to you, Bobano. How's it going over there?
Yeah, it's going well. I mean, I'm still doing the handicapping work, but as far as day-to-day watching baseball, it's not quite nearly as much as I'd like because obviously the eyes divert more toward the postseason and hockey and basketball. I wish it was different. People think I ignore baseball. It's like, not really. It's just if the shoe was on the other foot, baseball was in the playoffs right now, and NHL, NBA were only starting up, I'd probably be more into the baseball, quite honestly. But it's just the way it is. It's a long season. We're only in early May, and we're going to be playing right through till the end of September. But I have actually hit a few losing days in a row, and it's the first time all season that's happened to me. So you're catching me in my first, I guess, mini little cold streak or rough patch of the season. So hopefully today's a slump buster day.
I hope so too, Ian. It's funny. I am in the rare time I'm in the opposite. 3 of my last 4 days have been winning days. We're slowly getting out of this hole I've dug myself into, but we'll keep rocking and rolling. I've got some plays already made official here. I think like 4 or 5. I've forgotten already. It's not that many, but it's going to be a fun day nonetheless. Full card. Let's get right into it with Detroit versus Cleveland. First up, Lorenzen versus Bieber. Honestly, Bobano, I heard the breakdown earlier today on betting with the bag. A lot of love for Lorenzen. I'm not there. I'm not a big Lorenzen guy. I can't get well. I mean, I should command the Tigers. The Tigers have been playing super well recently. You can't really fault them. They've been a good underdog bets for a lot of people too. So I guess I lean that way. But ultimately, I'm not going to fade Shane Bieber here. The Guardians offense is just so bad so far, so it just makes me not want to bet any other games unless I'm thinking under. So pass here. I don't believe in Lorenzen, so no under for me either.
Yeah, I actually have a small bet on Detroit here, first 5 full game split in this one. And it's more so that I don't know if Cleveland and necessarily Bieber's velocity is down a tick again. And, it does concern me a bit. And I keep looking at Bieber as a guy that, I don't know if he's necessarily pitching at, this kind of level where he's a minus 200 favorite. And I just like the current form of the Tigers. I'm actually not a huge fan of Lorenzen, but, given this, the price that we're getting with him and the team that's, playing pretty well. And their proficiency against righties has improved a little bit, the Tigers. Overall for the season, their numbers aren't good. But if you look at the last 10 games, 271, they're hitting as a team and 5.34 runs per game against righties, which is a lot better than it was. And like I said, they've won 6 of their last 7 games. So they're in a good groove right now, the Detroit Tigers. And you look at this Cleveland team, you don't know what you're going to get one night to the next from their lineup. They've lost 4 of their last 6. I think it's just definitely a spot where Detroit, a little undervalued given the run that they're on. So I took them Detroit first 5 full game split. Small bet.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd lean that way too. Shout out to Rocco saying that Bieber's kind of figured out a pitch with his lower velocity. I would agree with that. Preston Watch and Real Deal Prime, Earl Sports Bet, Brad Somersault, Brian Watson in here early as well. We appreciate you guys. No bets for me here. A little first 5 full game action for Bobano on Detroit. Let's move on to a great matchup, a great series. I'm excited to watch it. 3-0 victory for the Rays yesterday. What are we going to do here today with Zach Eflin versus Grayson Rodriguez? Zach Eflin not been on the road much this year, has pitched well, but let's see how he does on the road. Grayson Rodriguez coming off of a poor start last time against the Kansas City Royals, 6 earned runs. I think the wind was really howling that day, though, as well, so there's something to keep in mind as well. I mean, honestly, I just kind of lean over in this game, and it's tough to say, really, because I do think Grayson Rodriguez bounces back here, and I've liked Eflin all year, and both these teams are just really good. So it's a hard game to cap, honestly, but I guess I lean over if I had to bet something here sidewise. I'm on the Orioles, I suppose, but I don't feel great about it. Both squads are really good here, obviously. So, Bobana, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. I kind of like Rodriguez more than I like Eflin long term, but he's got to iron out his issues right now. And definitely there's consistency problems for Grayson Rodriguez here early in the season. 5.46 ERA. That's definitely a concern. He's got the ability to swing and miss bats, but he's also left some pitches up in the zone, and he's been hit as a result of it. The Orioles still have a very impressive 5-1 record with him in his 6 starts and 3-0 in the last 3, but pitching equally as good as Eflin. The Rays haven't lost with Eflin on the mound, 5-0 for the Rays this year with Eflin on the mound. And I've always been a little more untrustworthy of him on the road as opposed to at home. But even on the road, he's pitched pretty well so far this year. Actually, only has the one road start at Chicago. So this will be a bigger test for Eflin. I'm kind of leaning in the Baltimore direction, but I want to see Rodriguez in a little bit better form. And to be quite honest with you, at only minus 130 for Tampa Bay, I'm not rushing to step in front of them at a price that short.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of convinced me, honestly, that I would rather be on the Rays here as well, honestly. They're just too good. It just seems everything seems always come more concrete with the Rays. Maybe that's just benefit of the doubt, but yeah, I guess Rays spot there, but nothing for us officially, or nothing for me officially, I should say. Let's move on. Bum fight. Nothing to do with it here. The Pittsburgh Pirates have kind of fallen back down to earth, unfortunately. They finally get a win. I think it was a 7-game losing streak, and Mitch Keller comes in, shuts the door, complete game shutout. Shout out to him. Spin Doc yesterday was talking about Mitch Keller and dropped a mini Garrett Cole comparison to him. And I was like, wow, that was interesting. And he went out and did that. So I shout out to him. I don't want to back Luis Ortiz in a struggling Pirates team, though. And then Connor Seabold is a Red Sox washout that I don't believe in either. So it's just another easy pass game for me. Unfortunately, I've been seating with more lower volume for me recently. So I've become a low volume boy, and it's just equal more passes for me. But that seems like it's becoming a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've calmed down a little bit. For me, I've gone from my usual 15 plays to 10 plays, on a daily basis.
Thank
So
you for your service.
that's actually a sizable decrease for me in daily card for baseball. But this one, these two pitchers I want to bet an over, but these two lineups lately have not been impressive to me. And we saw that yesterday with both the Rockies and the Pirates in the series opener. Pittsburgh, man, has the regression monster hit them or what? It's starting to come back to the other way. We knew they weren't a 20-9 baseball team. I'm sorry. I mean, Pittsburgh's a little bit better this year, but they're not that kind of improvement from last year to this year. We knew there's going to be some stumbling back and forth, but these are two pitchers I don't trust. I want to kind of lean over the total, but it's not exactly great weather, and it's kind of been that way in Pittsburgh. The ball hasn't been flying out of there as much. And these lineups are not in exactly the best of form right now. So it's a lean to the over, but no bet for me.
Professor Chris and Justin McElvey both liking a little bit of Pittsburgh today as well. So shout out to you guys. Nothing here for us. Moving on. Mets, Reds, late pitching swap here. Max Scherzer, some neck spasms out today. Now we've got Luke Weaver on the bump.
Thought it was maybe he got his ass kicked in his last start spasm, but
that might be too. That might be it too. The lack of sticky stuff spasms are acting up for our guy here. Total up to 10.5 now. I didn't want anything to do with this game with Max Scherzer, and I definitely don't want anything to do with it with David Peterson on the bump. Really, it's just a more pass game. I'm assuming the weather is forcing this game to be a 10.5 because I have not looked yet, and I'm very interested to see why this total is so high. But Ben, I'll let you start it off here. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, this is a late scratch here with the pitching change with the David Peterson now stepping in for Max Scherzer. I'm not really a big fan of Peterson, to be quite honest. He seems to be one of these pitchers that he can cruise along for a few innings and then bam, the roof caves in on him. I mean, he just hasn't been able to avoid that disaster inning, in multiple starts this year. And, this is a ballpark that they can make the disaster inning a reality when you pitch a great American ballpark, especially on a night where, look, they're getting the same weather pretty much as we are here in Southern Ontario, where, in Cincinnati, it's warm. It's a little bit warmer for this time of year. The ball could be carrying a little bit more. I initially liked the over with Scherzer, starting because Scherzer's velocity has declined. He's been hit hard here early in the season. But I'm not going to deviate from it with the pitching change. I think we still get a lot of runs here. Now, it is a high total, 10, but how can anybody like anything out of Luke Weaver? Luke Weaver's just been horrendous here so far for the Cincinnati Reds, and he doesn't need innings, and you've got a Cincy bullpen that's got nearly a 5 ERA, on the season, which isn't very good. The Mets bullpen hasn't even been all that it's been cracked up to be at times this year. So it does project that we should see some runs. The Mets should get their share off Weaver and the Reds pen. And again, Peterson could be one of those guys where he pitches good for a few innings, and then all of a sudden there's that inning he gives up 4 or 5. It's happened to him multiple times. So it's definitely favorable weather conditions for hitters tonight as well, in a ballpark that's favorable for hitters. So I do still like this over, even though it's high at 10.
Yep. I mean, I guess I'd have to agree with you, but I just want nothing to do with this game either. It's the only.
Oh, wow. 10.5 now. Holy shit.
That's going up there because I guess
moving up.
people don't
Wow.
believe in the Dave Peterson experience. I just can't get there with these offenses ultimately, and the wind kind of acting funny, just kind of blowing everywhere. So a pass game for me there. Bobano liking the over, going up though. So shout out to you there. We'll see how it trends and how it goes there. Next game, Toronto versus the Phillies here. Bobana, your Phillies better than us, or we would. It seemed like obviously you guys got mopped by the Red Sox. He came back, swept the Pirates. What's the state of Blue Jays Nation right now?
Look, Boston's had a nice little stretch. Let's give them some credit too. The last week or so, they've got themselves firmly back in the mix in the division. They've at least gotten themselves in the third now, nestled in nicely there. So give them credit. The Jays, of course, bounced back. I definitely in this game. Look, it's a long season. I don't think anybody was panicking after they're disappointed. Obviously, they got swept by the Red Sox, but nobody was panicking. It's a long season, and that was a good bounce back for them. I think there's value in this number with the Blue Jays, but I just haven't loved Manoah's start to the year. I'll be quite honest. I mean, it's just been underwhelming. It's not been, he hasn't been that dominant ace pitcher, that he was for much of last year. So I don't know what we're going to get out of him here against the Phillies, who, of course, have had Bryce Harper back now for about a week. So that's obviously made that lineup a little bit more dangerous. And my guy, Nola, he's had some rough games against the Jays in the past, and I know that for a fact. So he hasn't always pitched well against this Blue Jays team, and kind of up and down a little bit more than we've become accustomed to. And again, another game where it's going to be a warm night in Philly. So this is another over bet for me. I got 8.5. It's up to 9. I still like it at 9 here in this one. That I think we'll see some runs between these two teams.
And it seems like you lean definitely towards the Blue Jays side, right?
I do, but
it's dicey here, obviously.
It's dicey with Manoah right now. It really is. And look, I've been burned a couple times. I was burned by your Red Sox on the weekend there, taking them once or twice against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia won. So it was very disappointing that Boston could not hit Taijuan Walker. I can't explain that one over the weekend, but they had just one of those games. But Philly's actually shown a pulse here now. They've got their lineup closer to full strength, so I respect them enough to not bet against them here, but I do think there's a little value in the price with Toronto.
I agree. I basically agree wholeheartedly with that last sentiment of yours. I think there's definitely value on the Blue Jays with plus money and Manoah, but I just haven't trusted him either all year. The only time I want to back Manoah is when he has some spite in his heart, and he's pitching with some anger inside of him. That was obvious when when he was facing New York and Garrett Cole. I thought that could be a case against the Red Sox, but got nothing there. Just kind of stunk it up. So I passed this game too. I lean towards the Blue Jays just off of good price wise, and lean towards the over because both these offenses can absolutely smash. Nola's not been pitching that great recently either, especially for a guy that is going to be a free agent this year. So we'll see how he ends up rounding out into form. He could definitely make himself some money if he picks up his shit. Oakland A's, New York Yankees here. The return of our Lord and Savior, Aaron Judge, is alleged tonight. So I don't think we have confirmed lineups. Let me pull up RotoWire real quick because I want to see. We actually do have a confirmed lineup, and he is in fact hitting second. So there you go. Aaron Judge back in our lives. I really thought about taking Aaron Judge home run, but it's a plus 210 on Bovada, which is horrible. Don't even have it lifted on Bet Online. I expect him to hit well to get a home run probably. This A's team's not good. Clark Schmidt's not good. I wanted nothing to do with this game. Just unbettable.
I have a small bet on the over at 8.5. Once it fell to 8.5, I
Makes
said I think it's going the wrong way. I mean, Oakland's actually been an over team. They've hit a little bit better, and more importantly, their pitching has been brutal. Really, other than Mason Miller, who he wasn't that great Sunday against Kansas City. This starting rotation's given them nothing. I mean, Sears has been a disappointment. Muller's been inconsistent. He was walloped in his last start. Waldichuk is terrible. I mean, they just don't have a lot of great starting pitching at all. And now they've got Rucinski back in, and he got roughed up by Seattle in his last start. That's not good when you're facing the Yankees. Now with Judge in the lineup at Yankee Stadium. On the flip side, though, I'm not a biggest fan of Clark Schmidt. His numbers this year, mediocre at best. So even this Oakland lineup, which, look, they faced Yarbrough on Sunday, and I was on Oakland with Mason Miller. And, man, I mean, sometimes Oakland's going to have those games where that lineup makes bad pitching look good. And unfortunately, Sunday was one of those games. I'm hoping that's not the case tonight. Oakland can give me a couple. Yankees can get the rest, which I think they will. So 8.5, small bet over the total for me.
Yep, I was right there with you with Mason Miller against Yarbs too. So I was right there with you there. I remember that very well. Let's move on because this is a horrible game. Just two last place squads, Bobana. Why would anyone want to talk about two last place teams? This is a bum fight. I'll say it again. Two last place teams. What can we say? Facts only. Red Sox versus the Braves here. Good matchup here. If you watched Betting with the Bag earlier this morning, you'll know I'm on first five and full game over here. 5.5 and 9.5. I lean towards the Red Sox sidewise too, obviously, because Chucky Morton at minus 185. I mean, excuse me, that's kind of tough. I just don't want to ever back Charlie Morton at that high of a price. The offense, the Braves offense specifically, is a lot better against lefties than it is righties. So I definitely was like, man, maybe Nick Pivetta can pitch well against them here today, but I still kind of don't trust him. The other thing going for his, benefit, I guess, is that he's pitching for his job every time out. The Red Sox have a lot of starting pitchers that can be in the starting rotation, and he might be the odd guy out. He's mentioned publicly how annoyed he would be that if he did go out of the rotation. So, hey, every time he goes out there, he knows he's pitching for his job. So I think it's a little more motivation there. All that motivation said, I don't think he still pitches that great. I think the Braves get to him. First five over, full game over, lean towards the Red Sox. Bobana.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't bet Boston yet, but I think I will, just because this is a team that's won 8 of their last 9 games. Look, Atlanta has played obviously pretty good overall entering this game. They're on a nice little run. They had a nice series win against a very good Baltimore team over the weekend, swept Miami, took 2 of 3 from the Mets. So they're playing really well too. These are two teams in good form right now, but you're right. I think there's a little value on Boston here. There's not this big of a gap between Old Man Morton and Nick Pivetta. And I'm with you on the over, by the way. I do like the over. I just have the full game at 9.5, but I do like the over. I don't trust either pitcher necessarily in this matchup. Pivetta and especially Morton, especially a Boston team that prior to the game against Philly against Walker, they've been hitting the ball pretty well. During the win streak, they had scored a minimum of 5 runs in every game and 7+ in all but one of them. So, the Boston lineup was really hitting. With the price being where it is, I might probably sprinkle on a first 5 full game split on the Red Sox, but the primary look for me is the over here, 9.5.
Glad I'm in good company there. Shout out to Roger that. He does kind of get credit for making me believe in the Red Sox. He's just parlaying the Red Sox and the Yankees together and cashing a good amount of times. I was like, I guess I got to bet at the Red Sox. So shout out to Roger that. Professor Chris likes the Red Sox as well. The models are saying that that they are good value today, I should say. Grit and Grind joining us. Let's get into the next game here, as I've got a case of the yawns right now. I don't know why, but it was hit me. So let's talk White Sox Royals. I guess another bum fight here, but here's the thing. I really do root for Lucas Giolito after fading him very religiously, just because he is just a very easy prime candidate to be traded this trade deadline. Free agent next year. I think a contender could obviously use a guy like him. Needs a change of scenery to hopefully, just get him some run support, maybe, because he's been pitching pretty well this year. 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run last time out. against the Minnesota Twins. I remember, I'm pretty sure I was on it, and I was starting against Pablo Lopez, and they lost 7-3 in extras. Very frustrating game. But Jordan Lyles literally has not won a game this year. His team has not won any game he has started this year. So why would I want to get in front of that? If anything, I guess I lean towards the over because the Royals bats have kind of been hot recently, but I think their numbers are a little inflated because of heavy winds blowing out in Kaufman this week. So I just passed this game. I wanted nothing to do with it at the end of the day in this one. Bobana, what do you think?
Yeah, there's another over here for yours truly at 8.5, 9. Make sure you shop around, but I have no problem with an over with Lyles involved. The last 3 starts in particular, I mean, what can you say? I mean, pathetic. 4 runs, 6 hits, 6 innings against the Angels, 7 runs, 4 innings against the Twins, 8 runs and 6 hits, 5 innings against Baltimore in his last start. I mean, he's just been absolutely crushed. And I certainly don't think he's going to be able to pitch well here either. I was interested in Chicago a little bit, but not at minus 150 on the road. Not at all. Even though I think they'll probably win this game and probably trust Giolito to outpitch Lyles. But here's the issue with Giolito. Road has been a problem for him. 0-4, the White Sox in his 4 road starts and a 5.7 ERA for Giolito away from with the Windy City. So he has not pitched all that great outside of Chicago. And the starts outside of Chicago, 3 runs, 5 innings against Houston, 7 runs and 4 innings against Pittsburgh. And then he had 4 runs allowed against the Rays in another road start. So the road woes have not been pretty for Giolito. So that's why I ended up looking over the total.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Giolito's been – I think, honestly, he's pitched better than Dylan Cease this year. It's been a little unfortunate for Dylan Cease because he got back-to-back starts against the Rays, and specifically the Rays against Shane McClanahan. So it's kind of unlucky there, but he really has been the best pitcher on the staff this year. And guess what? They've only won 1 of his 7 starts, too. So no chance.
Might have some rain, by the way, in Kansas City, so I'm not so sure
100%.
this game's going to get off the ground.
That's also a good note there. I should double check RotoWire for all this stuff.
Keep it light with your bets on this game, which I tend to do with rain involved.
Yeah, rain in this game and then potential rain in Minnesota too, which we'll talk about soon. Professor Chris as well in here. Shout out to him. He said, I find myself betting against the Shy Sox. And shout out to Tongue Tied 89 with a little AL East action for him tonight as well. So shout out to you both there. Dodgers Brewers here, and Bobano, I was so close to moving on the Brewers here. The Dodgers, we all kind of know, can't hit lefties for some odd reason. Eric Lauer was a lefty that I liked backing all last year, really. He pitched well last time out, 4 runs, all of them unearned against the Rockies at the Rockies. The issue is, again, it's just the Brewers against righties, they can't hit. They just can't hit anyone, really. It's kind of sad. The lefty numbers are atrocious with the Brewers, but righties full season, they're at 12th, 104. Last 2.5 weeks, 24th, 87 weighted runs created plus. And Noah Syndergaard, I know he's not very good. I know once anyone gets on base, they're stealing. But I just don't trust the Brewers' bats at the end of the day. So this is honestly Brewers are pass for me here, just based off the Dodgers facing the lefties. And the Dodgers will eventually get better against lefties as the year go on. So maybe you can see them bouncing back against not a great lefty here, but I just had nothing to do with this game ultimately, coming off of a nice series win for them too. So nothing here.
Yeah, this is one where I don't want to lay a price with Syndergaard here. Just obviously not exactly someone I'm willing to back or trust at the moment. He's been up and down, more bad than good, though, of late for Syndergaard. He had the 7 runs allowed to the Pirates. Actually was a little bit better against the Cardinals. 3 runs, 8 hits, 5.1 innings. But I watched that game quite a bit and wiggled his way out of trouble quite a bit. I don't know if he'll be able to do that again here going into this game tonight. On the other hand, you've got Milwaukee and Eric Lauer, who's actually had 2 pretty mediocre starts in a row, 8 runs allowed in his last 7.2 innings against Detroit and Colorado. So he's looking to bounce back a little bit here. Now, the one caveat to all of this is I do lean over here, but not overly a strong opinion, simply because of the fact that with this Dodgers team, and it feels like I've been saying this for years, you're not always getting them coming through with the production against left-handed pitching. It's been a little bit better lately, but still for the season, Dodgers are hitting below 200 as a team against lefties. I mean, it's just not very good. So that's the only thing that's going to hold me back on either the Dodgers here or the over.
Rocco Rogers, by the way, also mentioning if you look into the stats, how Eric Lauer has dominated the Dodgers and how bad Syndergaard is on the road. Makes no sense that the Dodgers are favored here. Fishy line indeed. So I'm staying off of it. I'd lean Brewers, but we'll watch this game and maybe the lean cashes will feel good about ourselves moving forward. Next game, rain game, Twins Padres, excuse me. This was a game I didn't want anything to do with. But I absolutely lean Twins. It was kind of surprising to see them favored here with Louis Varland on the bump. Honestly, I was not anticipating that at all. Does that mean we want to back them? No, not really. Michael Wacha has shown himself to be competent at several points this year. And Louis has been fine, not impressive, just fine. So I guess on the face of it, like I said, I was shocked to see the Twins. Well, they're not even like that big of favorites, but still minus 115. They're still favored. So if I guess I had to pick a side, I guess I'm picking the Padres, but it's a tough game. I like the Twins, honestly, a little more as a team to bet on recently. But maybe the Padres can come through here in a victory, but it's a little rainy for my taste, so no thanks.
Yeah. Again, I was interested in Minnesota. I don't know if we're going to get baseball tonight in Minnesota. So if you're going to bet it, keep it small. But Louis Varland's going to be something to watch for moving forward because I know so far his ERA is not great entering this start at 5.91. But if you actually look at all the advanced stats and numbers, and his swinging strike rate is off the charts. So he's getting swings and misses. He's just unfortunately a little bit unlucky the last few outings, which means he's probably got some better results in his future, moving forward. I don't feel that way, though, about Wacha. I mean, Wacha's not someone that I'm really rushing to back, especially away from home on the road like this. But again, I doubt we're going to see baseball, or at the very least, we're probably going to see this game interrupted. So Twins lean, but still, keep an eye on Louis Varland moving forward. I think there's going to be some value to back him because I think he's pitching better than his ERA.
Okay, beautiful. Watch out for Louis Varland. Little rain, so be careful there. Let's move on. And yes, I have seen this comment a couple times today. These games are pretty tough today, so glad we can cap these. I do have a couple plays on here. We are passing a lot of games today, but I think I'm pretty happy with the plays that I do have today. Let's talk Cardinals, Cubs, Flaherty versus Jameson Taillon. Jack Flaherty apparently was the guy complaining the most about Wilson Contreras' pitch calling or whatever it was, preparation, et cetera, et cetera. I guess sounding a little spoiled that he had Yadier Molina forever, but whatever. Is the pitch calling the reason why he gave up 10 earned runs on his last appearance? I don't know. But we'll see here. The line has seemingly moved dramatically towards the Cardinals yet again, like it did yesterday. We said lean towards the Cardinals money line again because of that big movement. They won yesterday. Is it going to be the same story here again? With Jameson Taillon was in his second start off or coming off a groin injury, 3 earned runs in 3 innings against the Nationals. I think it could be. Jameson Taillon just not a guy that I really respect as a good pitcher. I think obviously Jack Flaherty has to bounce back off of 10 earned runs. Just feels like a good spot to back him here. But I didn't move on this game, honestly, and so I had nothing here.
Yeah, so I talked myself out of the Cubs last night, and I'm glad I did. I just felt that, St. Louis has been so bad for such a long period of time. Then they finally won that final game of that home series against Detroit over the weekend. I'm like, watch this team now go on like some crazy run, because it's just they're not that bad. Okay, they just had underachieved so terribly. The pitching wasn't good, and their offense went cold. But they're not as bad as that run would indicate. And sure enough, after snapping the ugly, ugly losing streak against Detroit, they beat Marcus Stroman, who's been, one of the best pitchers this year for the Chicago Cubs. And now they've won 2 in a row. And now they're feeling good. And now some energy and some life is coming back into the clubhouse. So, I get a sense St. Louis is going on a run here. And I don't know if I want to step in front of that. And I don't want to step in front of it with Jameson Taillon, who has not pitched great. His ERA is not great. He's not pitched well at Wrigley Field this year. And by the way, the Cubs winless in Jameson Taillon starts this year. So no, thank you on the Cubs tonight. I passed on them last night. I don't even lean to the Cubs tonight. In fact, I do lean to St. Louis, but I'm not going to get involved.
Yeah, and the Cubs offense, it started off great, but it's gone dormant in the
Yep.
month of May, really. It's just nothing doing last 2.5 weeks. Let me pull this up real quick. Last 2.5 weeks against righties, 25th, 83 weighted runs created plus, while their full season's 104th, 11th. I can obviously tell that they're struggling, so I didn't want anything to do with it there. I've kind of made a rule for myself. If your 2 weeks number is not as high or higher than your full season numbers against whatever side of pitching you're facing that day, I probably am not going to move on you. It's just an indication that you're not feeling great, you're cold, etc., whatever. So that's just a thing that I've been doing recently to kind of narrow my plays a little bit more. Next game is a purely market play for me. This was a very hot topic earlier this morning with betting with the bag. 94% of the money, or I think it was 94% of the tickets, something along those lines, was on the under in this game. And you look at this game and just screams under, but I took the over 8.5. It's not moved. I just really think that Framber Valdez is susceptible here a little bit against an Angels team that's shockingly hitting lefties. Full season, 125 weighted runs created plus. Last 2 weeks, 123. So just good enough for me. There's pretty good. Angels think they can get to him. And Ohtani's been giving up some runs, five earned runs, 4 earned runs last 2 starts. Obviously, they both get the wins there because the offense shows up for Ohtani nowadays, apparently. So I like the over in this game. It's a small total. Let's see the over here. I like both these pitchers, obviously, and I definitely lean towards the Angels. My first look initially on this game was Angels first 5 minus a half, minus 115. The main concern, if you're an overbacker like I am, and I saw this before going into it, and I'm knowing it now, and might bite me in the ass, but Astros against righties in the last 2 weeks, dead last, 56 weighted runs created plus. Full season, 83 weighted runs created plus. I just think they're better. I think they're better than that. I think their bats could bounce back. Tough opponent to do it, but we'll see if it happens. Bobana, what do you think?
Yeah, not to mention Ohtani, 1 run or fewer in every start against Houston
Yeah,
last year. So
domination.
domination against this team, but I don't hate the over. I'm not too strong on it. I'm not too strong in this game either way, but maybe Angels team total over, because there's definitely one thing that these two teams have in common this year is they mash lefties, both of them. The Astros do, and of course the Angels do. So definitely you would think in terms of the lefty-righty split in this matchup, it's advantage Angels. Angels are hitting lefties. You mentioned the Astros haven't been great this year against righties, and especially worse lately against righties. So it probably is an advantage Angels. I lean to them. The team total might be the better way to go, just in case, because you're right. There's some concerns about Ohtani. He's got filthy stuff, can make you swing and miss with the best of them. But when he misses his spots and someone gets a hold of it, it's going to the over the fence. He's had a home run issue all of a sudden in some of these recent starts, Shohei Ohtani. So that does concern me a little bit. Certainly the total's low enough. I could see it going over simply because it's 7.5. We're not dealing with a very high total, but lukewarm on that. Nothing on the side for me.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Brisk pace as always, but thanks everyone for watching. Noli knows in the chat. Under's legend, of course. Shout out to you, my man. We've got Mike M joining us, star the pimp slap play of the day and the hip to be square play of the day. So shout out to you there. Real deal in here. All you guys, we appreciate it. Miami Marlins, Arizona Diamondbacks, and in honor of Noli knows, I'm glad he's in here for this game. This game screamed under to me. I understand the roof's open, et cetera, prime hitting weather, but I like the first 5 under here. I got it. First 5 under 5 at minus 125. Luzardo, I think I know he's one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. I think he can just kind of baffle a Diamondback slam. That's been good this year. Full season, 102 weighted runs created plus. Last 2 weeks, 116 weighted runs created plus against lefties. But I think he's a good lefty, and they can get to him, or that he can get to them here. Brandon Pfaadt had a horrible debut, 7 runs against the Texans, Rangers here. Think he's just better than that. He'll come back, nervy first start, et cetera, and then Marlins offense is just not good. They've got Luis Ariz and nobody else, unfortunately, right now. So first five under five minus 125 for me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Brandon Fott. Now it's going to be just a question of how long does he to take him to get comfortable, because obviously that was not a great debut. But he is one of the top pitching prospects in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, so you expect him to figure it out at some point. But one thing I've been had a problem with the last few years is maybe jumping in on these young kids too early. And just saying, "Oh, he's one of the top pitching prospects. He's going to come in here and start rolling right away." And just dominating, mowing down opposing hitters. Doesn't always work that way. I actually have a small bet on Miami here. First five full game split in this one. Luzardo at least is the seasoned commodity. I don't trust Arizona to hit him all that great. Font might be ready to bounce back and have a strong showing. And you're right, the Marlins offense is pedestrian at best, but I actually took a shot with it was plus money when I bet it, but it's kind of moved a little bit. But yeah, that's it for me. I certainly wouldn't argue with the underlook though.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this game because it screamed under to me immediately, and I'm hoping my capping instincts are correct here today. Texas Seattle, incidentally, another game that screamed under to me. I kind of got talked off of it honestly after the betting with the bag show today, but I do really like it here still. First five under, and I wrote it down. First five under four minus 125 here. George Kirby, and I don't have my pitching plus metrics up right now, so I can't pull them up very quickly. But George Kirby has been one of the best pitchers when it comes to just accuracy, locating his pitchers. And he's just been great. 7 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned runs, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Kind of just being the guy that we all, kind of figured him to be, honestly. So I like Kirby. Heaney is truly the scary guy. Do you want to trust Heaney and what he brings? 6 earned runs against the aforementioned Arizona Diamondbacks last time out. Maybe those 6 earned runs are the thing that's boosting their numbers against lefties here. So maybe a little reverse back there. And if you think Andrew Heaney is worse than Luzardo, which I do, make yourself feel a little better about that. Uh, but yeah, it's just first five under look here for me, as I'm going to look up the stuff plus and pitching plus again to see where my guy George Kirby is. But like I mentioned, I'm fairly certain he was number one pitching plus, location plus guy here. And he is 111. That's leading. Number two would be Aaron Nola. Number three is actually Marco Gonzalez. Fun fact. So 110 pitching plus here. George Kirby, that'd be fourth best in the league. So he's a really, really good pitcher. So it just needs Heaney here, but first five under is my lean for sure.
Yeah, this is getting outrageous with Seattle. I mean, I want to back some of these pitchers, especially at home, like Gilbert and Castillo and Kirby. And every game they're like minus 170, minus 160 at minimum at home. And unfortunately, the team is playing mediocre baseball around their pitchers right now. Seattle. I ain't laying this price. I think Kirby's probably the arm I like better in this matchup, but we're talking about a below 500 baseball team, 2 games below 500 at home this year, Seattle. Laying this kind of price, I can't take it at that kind of number, minus 165. So it's a lean Seattle, but it's just I'm priced out of it. Just like last night with Gilbert, I'm priced out of it. There's no way I'm laying this kind of price.
Yeah, they like Jake Burns saying they can't hit lefties. They can't really hit many guys at this point. So I'm gonna move on it. Maybe I'll be kicking myself in the ass later. Shots Noli knows in here, hopefully still. First five under four, minus 125 there for me on these squads. Andrew Heaney, hold firm for me, my guy. Hold firm and get this dub, and let's fucking go. I'm excited to watch this game now, even though I won't be watching it because blackouts. So let's go to the last game. And it always seems, well, I don't want to say it always seems like, but this series in particular is just will always be a pass game for me, really. Giants Nationals, nothing to do with this game. I understand we've got two of our favorites on the bump, excuse me. Patrick Corbin, who admittedly pitching well. We all were excited about Corbin Day coming into the year. And he's just kind of shoved it up our asses if you've been betting against him. I've wanted nothing to do with Corbin Day. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and a win against the Cubs last time out. Impressive. Cubs might not be hitting, but still impressive. 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs there against the Pirates. Before that, again, the Pirates might be slumping, but still good. And at a Minnesota Twins, a team that's in first place, 6 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs again. So I respect Patrick Corbin's ability to step this up. I do acknowledge that the Giants have been pretty shit against lefties to start the season, but last 2 weeks, 113 weighted runs created plus, 13th best in the league. So I can acknowledge that I can see enough flush team total here. You mentioned it earlier this morning. Could see it all, but I just don't want to back it here. Want nothing to do with this game. It's a bum fight. I like Logan Webb a lot here, so obviously leaning towards the Giants, but unbettable for me.
Yeah, this is definitely a game where I'm going to take a shot with the over, which I bet at 8. It's up to 8.5 now. You're right, because I've been fading Patrick Corbin all season, and finally now the last few starts, it's like, whoa, he's actually gotten some back on me here with the last couple of starts. But I'll go to the well one more time. He pitches well again tonight. We might be putting Patrick Corbin Day in the drawer for a little bit and postponing it for at least a period of time. But I need to see it again. The Giants did struggle against lefties early in the year, but they've started to pick it up a little bit. So that gives me some optimism that they can do some damage here against Corbin. And let's be honest, too. They make Corbin work in this game. They're going to get to that atrocious Nats bullpen 5.45 ERA. You know, Logan Webb's not a bad pitcher at all. He's not pitched decently. He's pitched good at home ever since he's been with the Giants. He's pitched well in this ballpark. Here's the issue, though, with Logan Webb. You know, he's not always going to be a guy that gives you more than 5 or 6 innings. That's been his standard, really, going back to last year. And if you look at it, you're going to see some of that Giants pen. And you talk about bullpens that have not gotten the job done this year. San Francisco's has a 5.8 ERA and a much worse 7.85 ERA in the last 10 games. So, you know, I did end up playing a little bit of over here. It's kind of just more. I'm not ready to fully buy in yet on Corbin. And if he pitches well tonight again, maybe we'll ease off. But for one more instance, I'll roll the dice going against Corbin. And I don't think the Nationals will get totally shut down by Webb either. So I did play over 8 minus 120.
You know, an interesting note by Brian Watson saying that someone might take Corbin in a trade. But then I pulled up his contract. $35 million next year. Oh boy. No, thank you.
Happening. Yeah.
No, thank you. Nationals are going to have to be sending him back a lot of money. They want to trade fucking Pat Corbin.
No value with the Giants. I want to take the Giants. People asking in the chat. I do. I mean, minus 240, and it's minus a half is like minus 160 in the first 5 innings. You can't take that. It's just there's no value. I'd like to. I can't.
I agreed. Just can't do it there. Bobano, it's always nice breaking down the cards with you. This is a rare, it seems like a lower volume day for both of us, especially when we're on the card here together.
Yep.
I'll go first here. I've got a double up in the Boston Atlanta overs there. By the way, I didn't mention this before. I should have. Wind blowing out in that game as well. 11 mile an hour is blowing out to left center, going to 9 and at 9.9, basically 10 straight away. So that makes me feel a little better about the overs there. 9.5 and 5.5, minus 115 and minus 117 for 5.5 and 9.5. I am on the Angels Houston over 7.5, minus 120. And my last 2 plays, both first 5 unders there. Miami, Arizona under 5, minus 125. And Texas, Seattle, first 5 under 4, minus 120 now. So those are my looks there. No sides. Just totals there. So very interesting note there for me. I don't know how many times that will happen. How many times that will happen. Bobana, what do you want here today?
Yeah, it is a little bit lesser volume for me, but still a bunch of plays. Let's go. We've got that's yesterday. I was like, that's way too. There we go. I got to bring up today's card. There we go. Mets Reds. Now I have over 9.5 minus 115. It's gone up to 10, and I think it's mostly 10.5 now. So it's a full run worse, but I'm still going to endorse it over 10.5. Mets Reds. Miami first 5 full game money line split. Washington San Francisco over 8 minus 125. Detroit plus 170 first 5. Detroit plus 180 full game. White Sox Royals over 8.5 minus 130. Blue Jays, Phillies over 8.5 -125. Red Sox, Braves over 9.5 -115. I think I will add a small Red Sox first 5 full game split as well. And I don't think this one's going off, but small Minnesota first 5 full game split. I don't think that game is going to be played, though, or at least it might get delayed.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with you on that note there. I don't know if it's going to be a play, but you might as well get the play in regardless. By the way, I'm looking at this Patrick Corbin contract, and it's just so funny. 35 million due next year. But wait, Bobano, as in traditional Nationals fashion, you defer money. So in 2025, when he's a free agent, don't worry, he'll be picking up 10 million there too, as well. And just in case you were concerned, if he does pitch well enough, he does have Cy Young bonuses in there as well. Second, third, fourth place finishes get him a little more money too. So don't worry, guys. Patrick Corbin, still plenty incentive to pitch well over there. Amazing contract. What an amazing contract. Bobano, I appreciate you for joining me as always. It's nice talking to you. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs in full swing, like I mentioned. So a very busy time for you. Maybe less games to cap, but more meaningful games to cap, more difficult games to cap. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, as far as find me on Twitter, @Bobano, and of course on this channel, I'll be back on Friday this week. This is my week to be on Fridays with Jimmy on Betting with the Bag, so we'll be back on that at 11 a.m. It's every 2 Fridays for the summer, and then back with you next Tuesday for another Say Hey Plays.
Beautiful work there, Bobano. By the way, after this Stanley Cup shakeup, do you have just a quick favorite for the Stanley Cup, or for the finals, I should say, champion?
Wow. It's funny. They're both trailing in the West right now in their series, but I wouldn't rule out Edmonton or Dallas just yet. I really like them still in the West to some prevail in their series. I don't think we've seen the last of them yet. And in the East, look, gosh, I think Florida. If Florida finishes off Toronto, they could honestly fucking do the job and get it done. Seriously. I mean, they will have knocked out a Boston team that was the best team in the league. Toronto, that's got a very good team in their own right. And if you can beat those two teams, with all due respect to Jersey or Kakalaki, they can beat those two teams as well. So to me, yeah, Florida can win it all. Florida can at least win the East. I think they'd have a tough time actually against Vegas or Edmonton or Dallas or even Seattle in the West, but they can absolutely win the East.
Woo, beautiful notes there. That's why we ask, Bobano. Always curious, always got to ask. But Bobano, thank you so much for your knowledge and insights. 80, 109, and 18, down 33 units on the year for me, but we're chipping away. 3 of my last 4 days have been positive days, winning days. Let's keep the momentum going. Don't forget to say hey to us on social media @Jose Bouquett, @Bobano. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. Hit the like button on your way out. And don't forget to tune in for another edition of Say Hey Plays.